Self-control is the ability to delay gratification in order to prioritize a long-term goal over a short-term goal. And what if I told you that actually self-control could be the key for success in life? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bri and I am a pre-qualified psychologist. Today we're going to talk about self-control, why is self-control important and how we can develop more self-control in our lives. So without further ado, let's get into it. In 1970, a psychologist named Walter Mischel carried out an experiment in the US called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. In this experiment, Walter Mischel took 4 to 5-year-old children and put them alone in a room with a marshmallow in front of them. He then told them that he would have left room and that if they would have refrained from eating the marshmallow until it was back, which was going to be in 15 minutes, they would have got 2 marshmallows. But if they ate the marshmallow, they wouldn't have got another treat. What happened is that when he left the room, 2 kids out of 3 ate the marshmallow, and only 1 child out of 3 did not eat the marshmallow. He then did a follow-up study 14 years later, and the results were astonishing. 100%, and I repeat, 100% of the children that did not eat marshmallow when they were 4 were doing great in life. They were successful, they had good grades, they had healthy relationships, they just were living a good life. On the other hand, a great percentage of the children that ate the marshmallow were not doing so great. Some of them were struggling with substance misuse or dropped out of school or did not have really good grades. So what we can take out of the experiment is that self-control could actually be the key for long-term success in life. This experiment was also replicated by Joachim de Posada. Am I pronouncing his name correctly? Who knows? Anyway, Posada replicated this experiment in Colombia and found similar results. This is very important because it means that these results are also generalizable cross-culturally. But Mischel was not the only person that investigated self-control. Moffitt and colleagues in 2011 carried out a very big and very expensive, I would say, experiment in New Zealand. They took a sample of over 1,000 children and they collected the different measures of self-control when these children were 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. They then followed these kids until they were 32 years old. The first thing that they found is that self-control was relatively stable throughout the children's life. So children that exhibited low self-control, let's say 5 years old, they will have reported a similar level of self-control later in life. But the most interesting result was that self-control actually predicted things like physical health, substance dependence, personal finances, educational attainment, employment stability, and criminal offending outcomes. And we can say that all of this also impacted these children's success in life. What this means is that individuals with higher self-control in childhood tended to experience better outcomes in multiple domains, while those with lower self-control experienced greater challenges and negative consequences. And all of this was also regardless of the children's IQ and also their social class. What it is even more interesting is that in another cohort of 500 siblings, they'd found that siblings with higher self-control had better outcomes in life of their brothers or sisters that had lower self-control, although they'd been raised in the same family and under the same circumstances. From all of this, we can actually understand how important is self-control in our lives, and how impactful it is for our long-term success. Mischel proposed that we have a hot and cool system in our brains. The hot system is the part of our brain that is impulsive and emotional and that urges us to act upon our immediate desires. On the other hand, the cool system is the part of our willpower that is rational and thoughtful. When the hot system takes over, that's when we exhibit low self-control. On the other hand, the cool system helps us look for ways to distract us from our urges and find more appropriate ways to deal with our desires. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up or leave a comment, as it really helps the algorithm apparently. So the questions then comes natural. Can we increase our self-control? Can self-control be changed in life? According to different studies, yes, we can strengthen our self-control. One technique is just avoiding temptation. Have you ever heard of the quote, out of sight, out of mind, distracting ourselves or keeping temptation away can actually help us with our self-control. And this is also something that children showed during the marshmallow experiment. The children that distracted themselves and were keeping themselves occupied with other things were actually the ones that succeeded in not eating the marshmallow. Another technique is called implementation intention. This consists in creating if-then statements that could help people prepare themselves for difficult situation. So for example, let's say that you are trying to avoid drinking that much and you are invited to a party where there will probably be a lot of alcohol. You can create an if-then statement by saying, if I'm offered alcohol, I'm gonna have a soda instead. High motivation can also be another helpful way of increasing our self-control. A study has shown that people that were rewarded or that they thought that their actions were impacting other people in a positive way were more likely to demonstrate self-control. So for example, if you're trying to quit smoking, you can say, if I avoid smoking this week, then I can have a takeaway meal at the end of the week. That is a good way of keeping yourself motivated using a reward. People have also described self-control as a muscle that you can actually train over time. Some studies, for example, found that people that practiced self-control regularly by avoiding sweets, for example, were more successful at refraining from another behavior such as smoking compared to people that performed tasks that did not require any kind of self-control. Studies have also found that self-control is tied to blood sugar. So the brain is powered by glucose. That is basically blood sugar. And some researchers have found that brain cells that work hard to maintain self-control consume glucose faster. For example, in a lab task where people were asked to practice self-control, had lower blood sugar at the end of the task compared to controls that in their task were not required to demonstrate a huge degree of self-control. Another study found that people that drank a sugary drink were also more likely to exhibit self-control in other lab tasks. What this might mean is that eating regularly to maintain some good glucose levels in our brain could help us have more self-control in our lives. However, don't let the word sugar trick you, because healthy meals that do not contain any refined sugar are actually better than sweets at maintaining blood sugar level steady throughout the day. And finally, other studies have found that in order to maintain self-control, it is best to focus on one goal at a time instead of trying to do too many things at once. In conclusion, self-control could actually be the key for success in life. And if you feel that you would have probably failed the marshmallow test when you were a child, then you really shouldn't worry, because you can try some of the techniques we discussed to increase your self-control in life. And this brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, you can subscribe to the channel to avoid missing future videos. Also, if you like this video, you might also find my video on get your rid of bad habits helpful. I will link it somewhere here or in the end screen. As usual, I will leave some references in the description box below, where you will also find my socials and my website. And that is really all for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!